Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This is from Miguel Vega. Hey, John and crew. Big long-time fan. I saw a rumor circulating the internet that Marvel is courting Harrison Ford to play General Ross in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. I can't help but raise an eyebrow to the hypocrisy here if this is true. Granted, while the recasting of T'Challa certainly comes with more ramifications, shouldn't Marvel be consistent about their stance? Thanks to all of you, and bring on the filthy.
All right, Miguel, thank you so much for saying that in. Let me address something first that's a pet peeve of mine online. The most misused word, I think, in online discourse is hypocrisy. I don't think people actually understand what hypocrisy really means. Hypocrisy is not saying, I don't usually like vanilla ice cream, and then later seeing them eating vanilla ice cream. That's not hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is preaching a message while violating that message yourself. So hypocrisy would be Rob going around constantly on a show saying it is hurtful to our culture and everything. People should not be wearing lays. People should not be doing that. If you wear a lay, you're a terrible person. And then you turn into the John Campea Show and you see him wearing a lay. That's hypocrisy. Now, yeah, there it is. There's your. I didn't mean to say that Robert is a picture of hypocrisy. I'm just saying that's an example of
said before.
That's an example. Saying like a show saying doing one thing one way and then making another decision in a totally different situation. That's not hypocrisy. It may be inconsistency, but it's not hypocrisy. Okay, let's get back to the story at hand. So, of course, William Hurt, passed away, can no longer be Thunderbolt Ross. He was an incredible Thunderbolt Ross. I also love Sam Elliott.
Sam
Elliott.
Yeah.
From 2003.
I love Sam Elliott as a Thunderbolt Ross as well. Actually, he was a really good Thunderbolt Ross.
Yep.
But what Hurt evolved that character into, then being, I think, the Secretary of Defense or something like that, Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, can't remember which one he was. He did a great job with it, but he's not there anymore. You know, we unfortunately lost one of our great actors. But I have always contended, as I contended with T'Challa, that I thought they should have just recast T'Challa. They didn't. That's fine. I respect their reasoning. I think you should recast Thunderbolt Ross if your story called for more Thunderbolt Ross. You know, you don't, in my opinion, you don't shut down, like if a car assembly plant, if a guy who runs, you know, one of the mechanisms passes away, you don't shut down the car assembly plant. The show goes on and you remember them, you honor them, all that kind of stuff, but you also have to, the show goes on. The business has to keep moving forward. And if you still have stories to tell with Thunderbolt Ross, recast them. Now, there is a rumor going around right now that Marvel was looking at Harrison Ford to be the new Thunderbolt Ross. Now, I always tell you guys, look at where a story comes from. Well, where this one is coming from is actually a guy you've competed against that I've worked with before, Jeff Schneider. He's formerly of Variety and things like that. You know, Jeff actually almost worked with me. Again, outside of the AMC Collider thing.
I like Jeff a lot.
Yeah, I think he's quite good at what he does.
Yeah.
He's quite good at what he does. The only reason, honestly, really, I'm going to give you guys some inside baseball. The only reason he and I didn't start working together again is I straight up told him, I said, dude, you're overqualified. I straight, and I believe that.
What does that say about us?
I was going to say.
I mean,
it was for something different, okay? It was for something different.
sure.
It was for something completely different. But he's really quite good. Not that Jeff has always been 100% on things he said. Very few are 100%, but he gets a lot of credible information.
Yeah.
And he definitely has some good inside sources. Again, don't always take what he's able to say as gospel because we don't know the people who are saying it to him, but he's been right a lot of times. So he's been reporting this. Now, this comes us from the folks over at Screen Rant who wrote the following. There is now a rumor that Harrison Ford could join the Thunderbolts cast as General Ross. Former Variety reporter Jeff Schneider revealed the information on his podcast, The Hot Mic. According to Schneider, Ford is or was being considered by Marvel to take over Hurt's role as General Ross in Thunderbolts. He even said that his source indicated it was a done deal before D23, but that Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy stepped in to block the announcement to keep Ford's spotlight on Indiana Jones 5 instead of joining the MCU. And that comes to us from the folks at Screen Rant. Okay. Again, we give a giant grain of salt and an asterisk here saying we are not claiming that this is actually true. It may not be true. Jeff may have been given some bad information, whatever. But let's discuss this with the assumption that it's true for the moment, all right? If this is true, it's an inspired choice. Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Ross would be an incredible choice. He would fit that character very well. Now, you know me, I don't care about X actor and X role. But if this report is true, it's a very good choice. He's one of the great actors of our generation, maybe of all time. And just as far as fit goes, I mean, Harrison Ford is the living grandpa yelling at clouds in the sky and telling kids to get off his lawn. Kids. I mean, he would be great. To bring that kind of energy to a Thunderbolt Ross, I think would be absolutely fantastic. I think it would be great. So that works for me. Now, if the other part of the story is true, that it's already a done deal, and I know there are going to be some people that get angry at it, that say they were going to announce it at D23, but Kathleen Kennedy stepped in and said, time out. We are here to celebrate Indiana Jones. We want all the attention of this to be on Indiana Jones. You know what? I'm going to say something might shock you. I would actually agree with her.
I would too.
I completely agree with her. I mean, would it have been a big major announcement? Absolutely would have been. Do I think I, as somebody tuning into D23, would have liked hearing that? Absolutely. But the Indiana Jones stuff, and they dropped the trailer, which probably most of you have seen by now, that's huge stuff. And guess what? Whenever you drop the news of Harrison Ford joining it, if that's happening and if that's true, it's going to be a massive headline stealer whenever it happens anyway. Notwithstanding something like Jeff Snyder leaking the news out early and people finding out before Disney can make an announcement. So if it is true, I dig it. And if it's true about D23, I understand it. Anyway, guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts that a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either way too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore, and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. And the John Campea Show viewers and listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off using the code CAMPEA at trueclassic.com. Look, you and I both know that almost all of men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs. But let's be honest, that's not most of us. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt that you can always confidently throw on. Like most of you guys, ever since college, I have always struggled to find proper fitting t-shirts that are comfortable. Well, True Classic, from the moment I put on the shirt they sent me, solves it. And True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the promo code CAMPEA. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day refund policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you. Rob, you're hearing these reports. Theoretically speaking, what would you think if we're going to go on the assumption that the report is true? What would you think about Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Ross? And then what do you think about the idea that they were going to announce it at D23, but Kathleen Kennedy stepped in?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think he would be great to play it. I just worry that he's in his 80s now.
Yeah.
And if you're going to, not that I don't want to be ageist, but the fact of the matter is, if you're going to have a Thunderbolt Ross character that's going to be in multiple Thunderbolt movies, wouldn't you want a younger actor that could maybe play the character for another 10 years? Maybe?
Not necessarily.
I just think that Harrison Ford as an 80-year-old, it gets to the point where it strains credulity. However, he's a very fit 80-year-old.
Yes,
and I
he
could
is.
absolutely believe, I mean, not that I've actually watched any leaked trailers, but damn, he looks good as an old Indiana Jones. And I would believe that he could play Thunderbolt Ross.
Now, just want to throw this out here to keep in mind. William Hurt was 71.
And he
So
died.
he was younger and he died. So, I mean, just because you get somebody younger doesn't necessarily mean
it's
you're
true.
safe. It's part of life. And by the way, who says there is going to be a Thunderbolts 2? Who says that's
yeah.
they're going to be that? I mean, but I do see your point. But the other thing too is this. I don't think that this is going to be a role that's going to require a lot of physicality.
No, it's not going to.
Yeah, so I think we're probably safe there if it's true. Anyway, Chris, you hear about this? Let me ask you, what do you think the likelihood that this is true? And then if it is true, how would you feel about, but it almost feels unfair at this point because then Harrison Ford is going to be the star of the 3 biggest franchises in history, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, and the MCU. It almost seems unfair, but what would you think of him?
That seems perfectly fair for Harrison Ford.
That's true.
Go get it, Harrison. I love that for you. I'm kind of on Rob's camp of, he seems, can we let him rest? If he wants to do this, that's
Can
great.
we let him rest?
It's fine. But who I thought would be a really great replacement, if you are going to replace, and I do understand our viewers' question too of the consistency issue here, of maybe have like a policy for everyone. I understand characters are different, but I can see why they brought that up. I would bring in Viggo Mortensen. He's got that William Hurt jawline.
Sure, yeah,
He's 68. He's very fit. I mean, that's if I could cast this personally. You can't go.
Mortensen 68.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Well, he is Numenorian, so
Yeah. So he's aging very
being
slowly.
Numenorian, he ages
Exactly.
slower.
yeah.
Or so, oh no, he's 63. Excuse me, 63.
Okay.
But still, he's in his 60s. So I would do that. But I think Harrison Ford would be delightful. He does have that "I'm your grandpa and I'm going to punch your face" kind of thing, that works for Thunderbolt. I think that'd be really, really wonderful. Sam Elliott, I think you could always go back to that well too if you wanted to. But he's 78, I think. So.
Yeah, but you saw him in Parks and Rec. He still looks great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And in
he's spry.
1883, like look, he was able to do the stuff in 1880. He's still riding horses.
He was
and stuff.
great in that,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that. But again, we're about to see Harrison Ford do action sequences. And now, granted, they shot this movie 19 years ago, but still, it's just, I mean, so I don't know. I feel good about it.
Taylor wasn't even born.
He's like, who's Harrison Ford?
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, let's assume for a second that this is true. Like maybe it won't be. We'll find that out. But if it is, how would you feel about Harrison Ford playing Thunderbolt Ross? Do you think maybe they should go with a slightly younger actor to maybe give them some more time to play the role? I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there.